Hello, everybody. Today we're going to talk about three of my favorite ukulele covers in this month's live stream. Now, last month we did three of my favorite ukulele songs, so songs that were originally done on the ukulele. And I had a lot of fun with that, so this month we decided we're going to kind of keep that ball rolling, but this time it's three covers on the ukulele. So these are songs that were originally done by someone else or something else, not for the ukulele, that have been adapted to the instrument. And these three picks, I love all three of them for very, very different reasons. And honestly, I'm struggling which one to go with first. But the first one I'm going to talk about is in this book. So this is an amazing book. If you haven't checked it out already, please do. It's an incredible book. But this man, John King, rest in peace, is an absolutely just phenomenal presence to the ukulele world. He would take classical music and adapt it to the ukulele in a way that no one really has or had. And it's incredible. I was very lucky to have met him back in 2008 at the first ever ukulele festival I went to here in Seattle, the Dusty Strings Music Fest, or Ukulele Fest. And so I got to see him perform, and it was the most amazing thing ever because, you know, he'd play these itty bitty ukuleles. He'd play a sopranino. It was literally like this big of an ukulele. It was tiny, and he'd play this incredible music. And the thing I'm picking within this is this piece of music right here, the Bach Cello Prelude. This is called the most beautiful piece of music by a lot of different people. You usually hear Yo-Yo Ma or someone like that playing it. The cello is known for its incredible range and its sustain. Two things that are like the biggest weakness on the ukulele, right? Range, it's a 2-octave and change instrument. Sustain, this body doesn't sustain, and we got no bow going over the strings to adjust it. So John King took a piece of music that uses an instrument that's known for its range and sustain and put it on the ukulele, which is about as brave of a thing you can do. But he did it perfectly. It sounds incredible. I'm going to play a little bit of it for you right now, or try to. And it sounds something like this. That was kind of rough. I need to work on this tune, but you can hear how beautiful it is on the ukulele. Specifically in this case, it's beautiful on a high G ukulele, which is really fascinating because, well, you'd think you'd want to use the low G, the increased range of the instrument, to get the best sound possible. But no, he uses the high G. And the reason for this is because John King was a master of the campanella style. Campanella is Italian for a little bell, and it's basically a style of playing that utilizes all of the strings to play the melody. And this is what he does in the arrangement. Instead of like playing a note, and then a note, and then a note, and then a note, where he's just sort of choppily playing it over the strings, he maps them. So you get all the notes together, and he does this with each one. It's just beautiful. It's just wonderful. This does make it immensely challenging to play because of how non-intuitive it is. Because the notes you play don't feel right. It doesn't feel right to play this note and then this note going down like that. It especially doesn't feel right to go from here to here to here instead of going something like that. And that campanella style is very unique to the ukulele. And so Vicky says, I can play it on low G. Actually, yeah, a friend of mine did an arrangement of it on low G in the key of G major. And I've actually got a tutorial of that on my channel. But it's very different. It doesn't use that same campanella style. This one's in the key of C major now, just to give it this different sound where, again, you get this beautiful, rich sound. And so that's my first It's one of my all-time favorite arrangements on the ukulele because you would never really expect it, and it's absolutely beautiful. This book has it. It's, 4 pages long. I need to learn the whole thing. I need to quit making excuses and just do it, because this is a beautiful piece of music that has been adapted absolutely wonderfully. So the first cover here, we've got, Bach, so a few hundred years old. Much older than the instrument itself, which is kind of funny, right? So check that out if you haven't already. All of his work is fantastic. So let's go on to my second favorite cover. Now, this one may come as a surprise to some people because it's a Jake Shimabukuro song, which, if you know me, you know that I never talk about Jake Shimabukuro arrangements. That's tongue-in-cheek. I love Jake's work. And this is originally a Beatles song. So I bet all of you that are watching are like, well, yeah, it's Gently Weeps, right? Nah, I'm not going Weeps today. Gently Weeps is probably my favorite cover ever on the ukulele, but I wanted to mix it up a little bit. And what I want to talk about was a different Beatles cover that Jake Shimabukuro did, and it's a cover of Eleanor Rigby. This is a relatively new arrangement of his compared to Weeps. You know, I think he did this arrangement like 2015 or so, unlike, Gently Weeps, which 2006 or something. But this arrangement is awesome for a variety of reasons. I'm going to play some of it for you, or try to. And I want you to kind of watch for what I'm going to present here. So there's 2 things I want you to listen and look for. The first is the technique that's used. Jake makes this such a unique exercise because such a unique performance because he's strumming but also picking kind of at the same time. It's like this hybrid between finger picking and strumming that creates this really rich, very intense sound, which I love for this. And the second reason is Jake adds some little harmonic flares to create this bluesy sound. So see if you can hear where it might sound a little bluesy at times to really kind of make it his own. But I'm going to move the camera down and try to play. I'm going to try to play Eleanor Rigby here, or at least a little bit of it. It sounds something like this. So it's super fun. It's really good. I messed up this second as I went through there, making sure my microphone wasn't clipping. Just excuses. It's a very cool, very intricate, wonderful tune. I love working on it in my private lessons because it teaches so much technique in such a unique way, right? Is he finger picking or is he strumming when he's playing it? Well, sometimes it's very clearly strumming and other times it's very clearly finger picking. But moving the camera down again, when you do this type of stuff, what would you call that? Would you call that strumming or finger picking? I lean more into strumming, but what if I do it like this? Sounds a little more like finger picking, but it's the same technique. It's this really cool technique that he uses. It's crazy. And there's all sorts of crazy, amazing double time strum parts where he's doing all sorts of wicked things. Playing off the chord progression, making it a little bluesy. It's just a really, really fulfilling arrangement, both to play and to listen to. And if you see Jake play it live, he often will be playing with a bassist, and it adds that much more body behind it, just creating this absolutely wonderful arrangement of the tune. And what I like most about it, in addition to all these techniques and things, is he really makes it his own. He doesn't just play Eleanor Rigby by the Beatles, because if you've listened to the original, it's kind of an orchestral work, right? There's strings all throughout it. It's a beautiful song. But it's kind of just a sad song. What I mean by that is, when you put on Eleanor Rigby, you don't really... It's a gloomy song. It's kind of meant to be, right? But when Jake plays Eleanor Rigby, it's a little more crunchy, if that makes any sense. Those blues notes that he hits just make it this... I don't know. It's this cooler sound. And he really exemplifies that when he plays some of these lines where it goes, the normal melody of the song goes, right? That's the melody of the song. But Jake doesn't do that. Jake goes, hear that blues note? And then he does it again here. Instead of it going, right? That note, that blue note is really what adds it. And for anyone that likes music theory, we're in the key of E minor, and we hit that B flat. That's called the blue note, the tritone of E. And that's what creates that amazing bluesy sound that Jake gets out of this particular arrangement, which makes it all the cooler. So that's number 2, Eleanor Rigby by Jake Shimabukuro. Obviously, the honorable mention is While My Guitar Gently Weeps. Check that out. We've covered that before here on these live streams. I want to mix it up a bit. And I really do think Eleanor Rigby is just as good as Gently Weeps. So now the third one that I'm going to talk about might surprise some people, but it also might be the most obvious. But I'm going to talk about it in a couple different ways. And what that is Somewhere Over the Rainbow / What a Wonderful World by Is. Now, I'm an instrumental player, right? I don't sing for your sake. So why would I be choosing a song like this that's so, such a beautiful sang melody? Well, what I find interesting about this is a few different things. First of all, if you don't know the history of this song, the story goes that Is actually contacted a music studio at like 3 a.m. asking if he could come record something real quick. And he played this song, first take, one take, it was done, which is amazing, right? And what is this song? Well, Somewhere Over the Rainbow is from The Wizard of Oz, right? It's sang by Judy Garland. It's not a Hawaiian-sounding song at all, right? Is has made that melody more his than The Wizard of Oz, if that makes sense. When we think Somewhere Over the Rainbow, obviously we're ukulele players, we think of this, but if you go to Google and you type in Somewhere Over the Rainbow, The Wizard of Oz does not pop up first. It is, because this cover and this arrangement is amazing. And not only is it an arrangement of Somewhere Over the Rainbow, it's also an arrangement of What a Wonderful World, Louis Armstrong, which these two melodies work so wonderfully together. And we take it for granted now because it just works. He just makes it work in such an effortless way. And it's really a medley of sorts of two different songs that aren't normally together, but now we think of them together because of Is and his amazing job with it. Now, funnily enough, if you just sit and strum an ukulele, you usually don't know what song is going to be played, right? But if I sit and I go, even on my high G ukulele, Is normally does it on low G, when I do this, everyone knows what I'm playing. And I think that's so cool because I'm not even singing yet. Don't worry, I'm not going to sing. I'm just playing these chord parts. And we all know it because it's such an iconic sound. And that's what makes it one of the best ukulele covers, I think. And what's cool is if you're like me and you like to do chord melody style, this song translates absolutely wonderfully to be a chord melody. In fact, when I was first starting to do this professionally, I get wedding gigs with some, I did a few of them, more than the average human being has done wedding gigs, I think. And I have played Somewhere Over the Rainbow for the bride walking down the aisle a handful of times, more than once, because that's what people wanted. And when I told them, hey, I can't sing, they said, that's fine, just play it on the ukulele. And that's the vibe, right? Iz's voice is beautiful, and there's no substituting that. There's just not. But he created such an incredible arrangement that just this tune being played on the ukulele can kind of invoke some of the essence of him and his amazing music with it. And bringing the camera down can sound really nice. You can play it really slow, more like a ballad where you're not even strumming, right? You can just have that sort of... And that's nice. That works sometimes for a bride walking down the aisle. But when I play this song, I like to strum it. And it still creates that absolutely beautiful sound that Iz gets, and it's the ultimate ukulele song. And it gets a bad rap sometimes where people think it's overrated or overplayed, or, oh, you know, everyone asks me to play it on my ukulele, I'm kind of sick of it. But embrace it. It's an amazing song. Go listen to it just for the sake of listening to it, not because you think you're supposed to, but just because it's beautiful. It's amazing. And it's easy to kind of look down on it because it's the most popular ukulele song there is, but man, there's a reason for that. It's absolutely beautiful. So it's a lot of fun to play on the ukulele, and a great song to make into a chord melody arrangement because it just works. And it works really well. And that's going to be very different than if you play like Judy Garland's version of Somewhere Over the Rainbow, right? Because the Somewhere Over the Rainbow like that is... it has that octave jump instead of, you know, the Iz jump. It's very different. In fact, you can listen to some other ukulele players play Somewhere Over the Rainbow. Herb Oda Jr. has an arrangement. Jake Shimabukuro has an arrangement. Both fantastic, beautiful arrangements. But when you listen to it, it's not Iz. It's not that style. It's not the medley of Somewhere Over the Rainbow and What a Wonderful World. It's more the Wizard of Oz, Julie Garland version. So not saying those aren't great. They are. But it's amazing how Iz made this song so unique with an ukulele. So those are my 3 picks for my 3 favorite covers on the ukulele. The first one was John King's cover of the Bach Cello Prelude, which, taking the range of a cello and applying it to a high G ukulele using the campanella effect, which is playing the melody on multiple strings. Beautiful, beautiful sound. That's just incredible. My second pick was Eleanor Rigby by Jake Shimabukuro. So Eleanor Rigby, the Beatles song that uses strings, this very kind of classical sounding, but kind of sad song. And Jake really spices it up and adds some blue notes to make it really interesting. And that sound, starting with the top. Really making it his own, using these incredible techniques that combine picking and strumming, making for one of the most fun things to play on the ukulele, as well as listen to. And finally, my third one is Somewhere Over the Rainbow / What a Wonderful World by Iz. Not only did he create an absolutely iconic ukulele part with this strumming, which just sounds so good, and immediately you know what song it is, which is kind of neat. But he made this song his own, and he really made it sound good for the ukulele. And it translates really well to a chord melody. And those are my 3 picks and why I picked them. Love all these tunes. There's so many more. We could do like 20 episodes of this. There's so many great ukulele covers, but today those are the 3 that I wanted to bring up. And again, if you want to learn how to play that Bach cello one at the beginning, check out this book by John King. May he rest in peace. Absolutely incredible ukulele presence. Feel very fortunate to have gotten to see him live and meet him. It's a wonderful thing. So any questions at all that anyone has? Now, if you're watching this as a recording, we do these live streams every second Tuesday of the month, and we actually do forum posts so that if anybody has any questions, they can leave them in those forums to be answered here today. So I'm going to take a look at those to make sure we answer them all. Also, if you're watching this live in chat, feel free to leave your question or comment. I'll be looking through those as we go. It looks like Gigi says, love this series. Can't wait to see what you choose. My picks. Billie Jean. My guess is James Hill's version. That's right up there. The biggest reason I didn't pick it is because there's no way I can play any of it. So yeah, check out the Billie Jean James Hill's version. While My Guitar Gently Weeps. Best Jake cover, or one of them. And then What a Wonderful World. Interestingly enough, do you mean Somewhere Over the Rainbow by Is, right? Because it does combine those two. Or did you mean a different cover that I might not be aware of? It's a beautiful song. The Bumblebard says, great picks, GG. My confidence in knowing the difference between an arrangement, cover, original is not very high. I find things like that very confusing. So let's break that down real quick before we go on the rest of the question. An arrangement is just your adaptation of something with music. So an arrangement is something I'm playing on the ukulele. It's been arranged for the ukulele. An original is something that I wrote for the ukulele. So an original arrangement is an original piece of music that I have adapted onto the ukulele. A cover is an adaptation of somebody else's music. A cover is taking something that somebody else has written and adapting on the ukulele. So the word arrangement is separate. It's either an original or a cover, and you make an arrangement. The arrangement's what you're playing. Original is you made that arrangement up, as in you wrote the melody, versus cover is you did not write the melody and you're using somebody else's piece of music. So all 3 of the things I played today were cover arrangements, and what we work on with different things here on Rock Class 101, all of those lessons, when you see the different songs, those are all arrangements, whether it's an original or a cover. But her picks are number 1, Bach Cello Prelude, number 1, arranged by John King. I also think this is one of your picks this time, Matt, with about 70% certainty. Move that to 100%. Good pick. Number 2, Hallelujah, arranged by Jake Shimabukuro. Just heard that for the first time at the Music and Meals for Maui charity event live stream. So flippin' beautiful and for a great cause. I actually just rewatched the whole concert over the last week. Highly recommend it, and donating if you can. I share those sentiments. They just delivered a check for $110,000 to the Maui food bank yesterday, I think. So an amazing cause. Jake's arrangement of Hallelujah is beautiful. It's an absolutely spectacular one. With that getting... It's a beautiful arrangement. Definitely check it out. That one was close to the list as well. And then number 3 is all the lovely arrangements on Rock Class 101. They're the best on the internet webs. Thank you. Good pick. Leb397 says, great topic. Now I'll have to think. Should have written down songs I thought of in the past. Yeah, it's helpful to keep journals. I like to keep a journal. I keep a quarterly journal. I write lots of stuff in this thing, including things like these lessons. Rebecca said, I think that one of the most popular finger-picking tunes among ukulele players is body surfing. It absolutely is. We did body surfing in last month's live stream because body surfing is an original ukulele song. So it wasn't eligible for today, but we did give it some love in our last session. So check that out if you haven't already. Let me see if there are any other questions in the forums, just to make sure here. And then I see a whole bunch in the chat, which I'm excited to start talking to everybody. Looks like no comments there. Cool. Martin says, hi. Hey, Martin. Vicky mentioned that she could play on low G with the Bach cello prelude, which absolutely, it works great on a low G. It's going to be in the key of G major usually there. The one we were playing here was in C major with the John King version. Andy says, Campanella style is beautiful and the John King arrangements look amazing. I bought the book, but the technique seems so daunting. At least for me, I would have to drop everything else. Yeah, this is a very difficult book. It does start with some pieces of music that are a little bit easier overall than some of the middle pieces. But because this style of playing is so unintuitive, it just takes so much time. Like creating the neuron pathways for this stuff is way more difficult than other songs, I think. But it does reward the careful practice, and starting with it starts with Danny Boy and Greensleeves. Both of those are a little bit more approachable. But yeah, the Campanella stuff takes time for sure. Andy says, I'm working on and just practice Campanella for a few weeks to get anywhere close to playing that Bach prelude. Yeah, I've learned a lot of arrangements in my life. I've owned this book for over a decade, and I still don't know how to play that song. I think that tells you all you need to know about how intuitive it is, right? I pick it up, I learn a little bit, and then you kind of have to sit down and work on it. So I think I need to do that at some point in the near future because it's good. Martin says, what's a good arrangement for Somewhere Over the Rainbow by Is, and where can we get it? I do have one on my channel. I believe there's also one here on Rock Class 101. We'll have links to those when this is posted as the video, so check those out. Vicky says, those pick pretty difficult to me too. Yeah, I'm guessing you mean with the John King stuff looking pretty difficult to play out of his book. It absolutely is. It's very, very difficult, but very rewarding. It does reward that practice with it. One tip that I have for learning this type of style is to forget expectations. And what I mean is sit down and say, not I'm going to learn this much, but just say I'm going to practice for this long. So you sit down and you set maybe a 20-minute timer, and you just start working, and you just work on maybe the first 5 notes of the song. Not even a full bar, not bars, just the first few notes. And don't have any expectation of yourself. Just work on those notes. And it might take you 20 minutes to get those first 5 notes. And if you have the expectations and you look at the rest of the song, it's going to be like, oh my God, there's 60 measures here. How am I ever going to learn this? But those 20-minute sessions add up. And eventually things start to unlock a little bit faster. And as long as you have the right attitude of, I'm just going to spend the time, you will be able to do it all. And this applies for most things in practice, but especially this Campanella style. Remove the expectations of yourself for anything but time spent. Don't think about anything, but I'm going to do an hour this week on this. See where you get. Vicky says, I like the first one and may try it probably for the Danny Boy. It's a great arrangement. I've worked on it with some students in the past. I had a student, his name was Dick. He unfortunately has since passed away, but he was like in his 80s when he started lessons. Never played a musical instrument before. He had a concert ukulele, and big dude. Like I'm 6'3", is like the same height as me, and his hands were big and really, quite thick fingers. It's like, Matt, I want to play classical music on my ukulele. And like, oh great, how long have you been playing? He's like, I just bought one. I was like, let's do it. Let's go. And it was so funny because our first lesson, he was struggling so much with holding the ukulele and with the style he wanted to play and everything. I was like, use a strap. We're just going to use a strap the whole time because we want to get to playing this intricate music. So he put on the strap, had it positioned higher like John King would. John would actually hold his ukulele more up here for this style, not down low. And we got this John King book and we started working on it. And we started with that Danny Boy arrangement, which is something like... And that was probably 3 weeks or more of practice for him. And he was stubborn. He would not give up in the best of ways. And eventually we worked through quite a few pieces. And I'm trying trying to recall which one he did that was most intricate. But he did one pretty late on that was just, he did a great job. I'm trying to remember. It was almost 10 years ago now. But he worked through this book and was working on some of the more intricate pieces. And it was just so cool because his practice just let him do it. And so, Dick, thinking of you. So it's a good memory. Andy says, as another teacher says, drop by drop, the bucket gets filled. Absolutely. It's all about that consistency. And I think the timer is the biggest trick to finding the most success with your practice is just put on a timer, ignore all expectations and all the noise of what you think you should be doing, like, oh, I should be better, I should be doing this or that. Just focus on the thing you've got there and spend your time with it, and you'll be playing this stuff. It's pretty cool. So let me see if there are any other questions. If you're watching this in chat and you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them now before we end this live stream here. But this has been super fun. I love these 3 tunes, and I hope that you're able to find some enjoyment with them too. They're 3 very, very different songs, and it shows the versatility of the ukulele for sure. So I don't see any other comments in there. I'm just going to reload on the forums as well. Doesn't look like we have any there. So there we go. Well, thank you all for coming today to this live stream. Again, we do these every second Tuesday of the month at noon Pacific time, which is a weird time, I understand, but I am also a full-time dad on top of being an ukulele teacher, and my son is in school right now, so it works out. So if you can't make these live, again, check out Rock Class 101, where you can leave your comments in the forum and we'll be able to answer that. But thank you all for coming. Thank you, Martin, Andy, Vicky, everybody in chat. I will see you all in a few weeks, a month, where we will have our next lesson. Can't wait to see what we end up thinking of. If you have some ideas for what you'd like to see covered in one of these live lessons, feel free to leave it in the comments below, and I'll see you all next time. Thank you so much. Take it easy. Talk soon.